I don't even know if I'm ready to do radio.
I barely remembered I was supposed to. Oh, wait. It is 9:30 on a Thursday night, and you're tuned into Beltway Radio and Beyond, which can mean one and only thing, that this is ChipChat. Welcome to ChipChat, everybody. I'm Chip. Who are you, Tez?
You just stole them, buddy.
Oh, man, we're back.
We are back. It's
this is God. A long. We took a long little summer break there.
I love that we had a summer break before the actual summer break.
Yeah, then there'll be a summer break.
There'll be another summer. Then it'll be football season.
Yeah, welcome back. I haven't seen you in a while.
I know I haven't seen you in a long time. Thanks, man. I appreciate it. I feel good. I've taken some time off.
You see this? What I got here? Growing on my face.
That's your World Cup beard?
Yep. This is now my playoff beard because, in the same way that like in hockey, right, you can't cut your beard until you get knocked out. So because we keep winning, I'm still growing, which is not great on 105 day today. But
yeah. I don't know. I'm in my favorite part of the World Cup festivities, where not only is my air quotes beloved England moving on, but also the Americans are also moving on. And I always root for this so hard, because then what I'm really rooting for is the actual collapse of both of these teams as the closer it gets there. And yeah, I know that makes me a terrible person, because everyone's always confused. They're like, do you root for England? I'm like, yeah, I guess I do root for them to get close enough to lose.
Yeah, I root for England to have hope and have it dashed, only because I can't imagine, and I hope I never have to experience a world where they get to finally say it came home.
I know, right? Exactly.
It will be the most insufferable. If you lived through the era where Boston all of a sudden got good at sports, right? The Red Sox broke a 100-year curse. The Celtics broke this drought that existed since Larry Bird left. And the Bruins, they started to win. They won a couple of cups, and of course Tom Brady won all of those. There was a time when it was impossible to deal with people from Boston, more than usual. I mean, they're already nearly the worst kind of people there are.
But I get along with them all. I don't know why. It says something about me. I get along with
all the worst people. You and Don Jr. would be best friends.
It's so weird. I get along with some people from Boston.
Happy Boston fans are the worst people on the planet.
Yeah, I went last year. It was the Nats played them on July 4th, which I didn't think there could be a hotter day than that, and it will come on Saturday.
Yeah.
But I was there. They played the Red Sox, and I was there with a bunch of Boston fans. I didn't sit with them. I went to see them. And they were mad. One person got kicked out. Like, it was I left and went back to my seat. I was like, all right, so good to see everybody. I'm not sitting over here in the sun with you because it's turning you all into demons.
Well, they don't need to be turned into demons, but the thing is that if you could imagine that supercharged by like all of the pretension of the British
world empire.
Yeah, of a empire conditioned by empire, who have lived through the fall of that empire, who have dealt with it so poorly that they Brexited and like chopped off their own nose to teach the world a lesson about them being.
I one of these days I should do some preparation to actually do a deep dive of how bad it is currently in England in general.
The economy sucks. The
Yeah,
people
and like
there are
outside of London, like look, because I know people that's still a huge like a city and things are still driven there, but like surrounding areas, you start expanding out from there. It's terrible.
the northern sections, the Midlands are in bad shape, and it's like it's across
You know
the
what?
country.
I'm turning on this. Maybe they need this. Maybe, I don't know if it's not going to be this one, but maybe they need a World Cup win to restart the engine.
How
I don't know
does
if we want to
that
restart the
economically
engine.
advance
It
them?
doesn't. It doesn't. It's more like no, because then you have nation pride and the nation state pride of that.
It's not going to get them back into Europe.
No, but you know, it might. You never know. It might force people to have some different ideas. Maybe they'll oust another prime minister.
Yeah, maybe they'll get a new lettuce.
Not
to get another
yeah,
lettuce.
Yeah, to the larger point, if they do ever achieve this, there's nothing that can be said. But who I wanted to win Senegal is out, so I don't know now. It's getting tricky for me. Mexico.
So I mean, look, it's going to be tough to beat France. They look
really clearly.
So
yes,
we're all just playing for a chance to get bulldozed by France.
Because again, colonialism strikes again.
Hey, banh mi sandwiches and Kylian Mbappe. There's lots of good things about colonialism.
A lot of good things. But yeah, no, World Cup.
Many people are saying that it's the best way to do things.
I mean, the other thing that you could like, if you're going for story, America winning it on 250 is crazy.
No.
If we're gonna go with story, right? Like, if you really want to go story, I didn't bring my flag up here today for our episode. This is supposed to be my
story was that both Germany and Japan were defeated at the same time, which
was crazy.
Hasn't happened since 1945.
That was crazy. Yeah, good one.
It's a World War II joke.
It is.
All right. So anyway, we're back. This is a special edition of Chip Chat because we are back. And we were on recess. The house is back on recess because they never work.
They don't work when they're not on recess.
They don't work when they're in session, but they also like MAGA
Actually,
Mike.
They passed that one law that the president refused to sign.
Yeah, that's true. They passed a overwhelmingly bipartisan law to try to encourage reduced regulation in housing and construction, and Trump is like, "Fuck that noise."
Me looking up for my fictional newspaper, like, what? They passed that?
Yeah. It's an easy win, sort of like being supportive of the COVID shot, and then Trump is like, "Nah, can't do that. Nobody wants housing.
Save Act or nothing."
Yeah.
Oh.
Talk about self-injurious. Maybe he's a Brexit. So anyway, instead of being in session, they dodged voting on voter suppression because every time that Mike Johnson doesn't have the votes, he's like, "That's it, we're going on recess," and he almost never has the votes. So it's like if you thought these guys were lazy before. Anyway,
and the Supreme Court keeps telling them to go do their job, knowing that they didn't work. It's crazy.
So that's what we're gonna talk about tonight, right? It's time to talk about the court's most recent blunders / decisions, and then the on again, off again Trump has with Iran. To wit, there is breaking news tonight, which we'll get to, and then Tez has a new segment where I hope he read something that I sent him. Maybe I'll have to gift him the article since he's a lazy freeloader and he doesn't subscribe to his local paper anymore.
I took a stance.
But yeah, about caring about the feelings of the AI chatbots.
This is insane anyways.
I can't wait for you to explain this to me. So that's going to be a whole thing. And then, of course, it is the 250 4th of July. So we're going to talk about that too coming up right after the break, actually, because I'm sure we both have a lot of feelings and thoughts about that. So there's a lot here for our show to come back, which is interesting because normally while we're gone, nothing happens. And once again, nothing has happened. But many things that didn't happen, we're going to talk about. So that's the story. Yeah. Okay.
We have a new mayor.
Not quite yet.
That's gonna happen. Come on now. What are you talking about?
You have a party selected designee.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
We can talk about future mayor Louis George.
Exactly. You make it sound like there's gonna be some random candidate that's gonna come out and run.
No, I think there's risks, not to her winning the election, but maybe to her being seated.
That's fine. That's good. That's the yeah. The new Congress doesn't get seated until March after the Supreme Court has to step in. Like, it's fine. I'm already prepped for all of this. It's okay, everybody. I know when this. I already know it's gonna be a bloodbath in November, and they won't seat them. It'll be fine. People will fight. It'll go to the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court will seat them.
And then what?
What do I mean? Or violence. Pick one.
Yeah.
There you go.
Right. Okay. Anyway, I didn't even bother to write that whole part, the next part. But do you have a word?
Oh God. Do I have a word? Yeah,
I've got a word.
Yeah, I've got a word.
You ready?
Yep.
So sit back, grab some
explosives.
It's reflecting pool time. You're listening to the best show, the only show, Chip Chat on Beltway Radio and beyond.
Sweeps, you vandals.
All right, welcome back to Chip Chat here on Beltway Radio and beyond. I'm your host, Chip. With me is Tez.
What's poppin', everybody?
All right, so today is the 2nd of July. That's the only month where Americans call the dates in the order that the rest of the world does,
right?
For whatever reason. I don't know if the rest of the Americans listening to this show know that, but we're the only ones who say things like June 1st. Everybody else says 1st June. As a matter of fact, we're, in addition to like the only ones still using inches and yards or whatever, we're also writing the date backwards. And we're also the only ones using 12-hour clocks. The whole rest of the world's on 24-hour clocks. And they write their date, day, then month, then year. And then Americans are like, no, we write it month.
This segment has started off very anti-American.
Well,
I don't know. This is very weird coming from you.
No. This is American exceptionalism. We
okay, there we go. All right.
Are better than the rest of the world.
That's what I was.
Because we do these things uniquely. Yeah.
Tyrese, though, a lot of times says it correctly.
Yes.
20th of he'll flip it most of the time.
He also says, see you tomorrow, everybody, when he's on the radio. And he'll never see us. So that's
crazy.
That's weird.
That's not.
That's weird. He's not going to see you. He's on the radio. That's not how radio works. That's why it's weird that we do the show on video. But anyway, okay. So that means that we're 2 days away from the 4th of July, which is our Independence Day because of the date that a letter was written. There was a great big war that had to happen then for several years after that letter was written in 1776. But regardless, that's the date, right? And because it is 2026, that means that it is the 250th anniversary of the Declaration of Independence. And so that means it is our collective 250th birthday, which would feel like a normally very exciting thing. And there's a lot of like extra stuff. So for people who are not in the DC area, right, they're not sort of used to this. DC kids, I mean, let's be honest, we're a little spoiled. Okay. We grow up here where the fireworks show isn't like somebody putting it up at a high school. It's the National Mall. It's done
along with people putting it up at a high, like along with people.
Oh,
you
those
can
things
pick
too.
those as well.
But it's like
it is the national event that happens.
It is the national event.
Everybody comes to your house. Everyone's coming to your house for your party, basically.
Yeah, and it gets broadcast on PBS all over the country. And there's the National Symphony Orchestra and like big name acts and the service bands, and it's not a small event most years, right?
Big Metro Day. Everybody takes a Metro. Sometimes the Metro is free that day. Mostly the Metro is free that day. Because what else would you do? It's usually also very hot, but it's a day that don't worry about that this year.
Yeah,
don't worry.
So it's usually a big deal, right? But for 250, it's an even bigger deal, right? Why shouldn't it be? There's going to be all kinds of stuff. So like, here's the things that are happening that are like totally normal, expected sort of 250-ish events, right? There's a bigger fireworks display, including these barges set out in the river. I saw them today on my way home. Yeah, they're going to launch from the river, which has never happened.
What could go wrong?
What could go wrong?
They're going to burn the city down.
I just need to point out to people who maybe again aren't from here that the Potomac, north of the or like upstream of the 14th Street Bridge, it's not exactly the widest part of the river.
It's not.
It's not the narrowest part,
but it's not necessarily.
It's not up in the gorge like upstream of Chain Bridge where it gets really narrow.
That's real narrow.
But it's, I mean, at speed on a like no traffic across the 14th Street Bridge takes you about a minute.
Right.
Maybe less. So it's not that wide. Okay. And there's a lot of important stuff on either side, like right where the barges are at. On one side, it's the whole Pentagon. And like, whoa. And then on the other side is like the whole mall, where like Jefferson.
God forbid friggin' Arlington Cemetery is a set ablaze because of something crazy.
That happened once the goddamn Yankees tried to burn down Mrs. Lee's Rose Garden, planted their dead in it.
Hey,
we were taught in Virginia.
You guys were taught. I was literally talking to someone looking up there. I was like, still doesn't sit right.
Yeah.
Every time I look up there, doesn't sit right.
Dead Yankees buried in Mrs. Lee's Rose Garden. Yeah.
The house doesn't sit right up there. Damn.
So anyway, it's a big house.
It is a big house.
So all right, so that's happening. Bigger fireworks, but there's a little caveat to that. We'll get to that. They're lighting up the Washington Monument with like video displays and stuff, which we saw for the anniversary of the Apollo launch. Was the first time that had ever happened, and it went over really well. I went down there. We went down there with the kids. It was really cool. I'm super into that whole idea. The Smithsonian has like curated a special collection for the 250th and paused renovations. They finished renovations on Air and Space to get that up and running. They've got East Wing got a bunch of stuff like finished and done with the renovation. So like there's that. The zoo has a few like extra special things, and they got all that stuff going. So like there's a lot of things that make sense. And then there's the problem that Donald Trump is also the president right now. And this thing that he could magnanimously let be for all of America and get people like you and me to say, well, okay, I don't like the guy, but at least this went over pretty well and it brought the country together. He can't let that happen. So he has turned a bunch of shit inward on himself, including changing the funding system where Congress had created an independent agency, or not agency, but body to raise money and to throw this party. Trump basically
Stole the
undid
name,
that.
and then they kind of flipped the name around to like, because what are they? Just like, I forgot what's his. It's the Freedom.
His is Freedom 250. The other one's America 250 Freedom,
50
or something like that.
Like,
so he, like defunded that and then went and funded his own, and he's running taxpayer money
through that private-public partnership, as he would tell
yes, you. Triple P. but he's the only private in that whole partnership, and he's siphoning off all the money, and he's made it all about himself. So things that are not normal but are part of this are this weird Trump-focused state fair bullshit.
The Met Fair.
Look, there are more people who live in my house than have attended this event. So
I feel like I need to go and check it out and just see what the hell's going on. Just
well,
to
you got some time. Yeah. And several of my friends have gone. It's really bad. It is really bad.
I should go do some live reporting from down there.
Yes, you should. Videos, many people are doing that. In fact, I think the majority of attendees are people who are going there to show off how few people there are.
Okay, all right. That's interesting.
The Secretary of Agriculture gave a speech today to 3 people. Not today, yesterday, to 3 people, and had to sort of pretend that there was a large crowd.
I'm going to stick out like a sore thumb down there.
You will look like the staff.
Oh, wow. Okay. Gotcha. Okay. Yeah. Well, you know what? That's a really good way I can just maneuver without actually better. Works better than.
So, and the event's weird. We're not going to go into like exactly all of the weird. Well, we're going to talk about it a little bit, but so that's weird. And then like Trump's got like all these, like there's flyovers.
I saw one today in my house.
I saw it today. Yeah. I saw it today. It was a warm up for it. That's cool. Okay. I don't care who you are. That's cool. I was outside.
I think people should be warned. Like there used to be a time when these happened that you would get a warning alert.
They did. They sent out a warning. They did.
I didn't get. It should be more like it should be like a damn Amber Alert, friends. At this point.
Well, you need to get on the email chain.
Yeah, but I feel like there was a time where I would see like days prior. Like clearly, this administration doesn't care about giving people alerts about flyovers. But yes, there was a flyover today. I see one at Nats Park. The one that happened maybe like a week and a half ago. There was another one which was again. I was like, well, this is the bottom of the 4th. Why would they be flying over? Oh, this is just some 250 shit. It took me a second to click. So
yeah, and like up in Baltimore during the game, they had a couple of flyovers because the Red Arrows were in town.
Yes, I heard. I heard Britain, a lot of.
And then the Blue Angels were there, and they were doing stuff. So like, I happened to be working on a roof today in the 100 million degree heat, and miserable, not succeeding at what I was after, and all of a sudden. And I'm like, oh shit, the Thunderbirds. That's cool.
And the only place in the world that hears that sound over their city and says that's cool. Yeah. Because everywhere else says, oh God, death is near when they hear that sound.
Yeah, in America, we have no idea that is
we hear that and we look like, oh, cool plane. Everybody else in the world, when they hear that sound, is like, oh, it's over with. It's done.
F-16s, oh God. Yeah. So, but Airplane Nerd Chip was like, yo, that's cool. And I had a good time up there on the roof. And all right, so that's cool, right? That's cool. All this is getting around to this question, which is it okay to celebrate this? And there's a lot of question around that on a regular 4th of July.
Yeah, I was going to say, good place to start, right? On a regular 4th of July.
Here's the thing that white America is totally unaware of. White America is like, oh, the 4th of July. Of course, it's a holiday. Everybody's going to have a great time. They're going to barbecue. They're going to, be grateful for their freedom if they even think of it at all. They're going to have mattress sales, and then there's going to be fireworks, and we're all going to have a great time. And white America is like, this is a great holiday. There's no conflict. There's no question. This is a unifying day. Everybody can get behind it. And when they find out that for Indigenous America or for Black America,
the Declaration of Independence for Indigenous people is insane. Like, it's written.
It calls them savages. When you go like, what do you mean you don't love the 4th of July? Your Black friends are like, and your white friends are just utterly confused. They're like, what? So Tez,
NPR tried to help folks that one year, and they played "What Is the 4th of July" to the slave from Frederick Douglass. So
what is? explain the mixed emotion of the 4th, and then specifically this mixed emotion for you or for Black America in general to the white audience, of which there are maybe 2 or 3. I hear.
Right. I think specifically, I still go to the indigenous folk of this country. Like, in this initial document that's created, right? It's basically like, right, a large part of this, right? One, obviously, we know the slavery piece and keeping slavery intact is a piece of this, but there are other parts as well, right? Because we always talk about like the yoke of the king and taxation, right? But also it's like, hey, the king is like, yo, we can't afford to keep fucking fighting your wars against the fucking Indians, man. Stop going west, okay? It stops here. It stops here, right? And they're like, fuck with that. Like, and these are some of the other parts I don't think that we talk a lot about of like, all right, how do we get to this independence, right, for America? But yeah, for indigenous folks, I just don't know. Like, yeah, I could just see them just being completely like, it was, I mean, almost akin to like what we see as Thanksgiving, asking them about like, yeah, yeah, great, yeah, sure, that's awesome for us. But I think specifically for Black folk, and I see it obviously from a unique, specific area. I mean,
because you're British.
Yeah, for all intents and purposes, though, I am a Black American. Like, if I get pulled, like I was telling something the other day, I was like, if I get pulled over in a car, like by the cops, like, all right,
yeah, you're not going to be able to flip.
I was going to be like, oh, yeah, I'm British.
No.
So yeah, I find that Black Americans, for the most part, as I've experienced it, don't really always wrap themselves in the flag the same way I've seen white folks in America do 4th of July. So it's more kind of like, one, it's a fucking day off, right? So like, shit, like, yeah, we should just celebrate that as just like labor in this country, right? It's a day off, right?
Unless you're retail, in which case it's a day of extra work, but
it's extra work, but time and a half. Depending on where you live.
Retail.
I was gonna say no. Depends on what you read.
Depends on the state, maybe, but yeah, okay.
But you use that time to bond with your family, and like obviously there's a huge sense of community. I've always found, even like when it comes to firework displays, the National Mall is always what takes it, but what's happening in the neighborhoods, not going to speak for obviously DC, but like what's happening in the neighborhoods is actually some of the more like, and I know people despise it. And people back in the day despised it, even when DC was like just super Black, right? But because like it's just loud. But now, obviously, when you have these different demographics all together and they have no concept of this.
White people with dogs.
White people with dogs. All right. It's
not just them. About fireworks.
It's not just them, though. It's almost anybody who comes into the area. They find the fireworks because it starts from basically like Juneteenth through like the middle, maybe
of July.
Yeah. August 3rd, you might hear a set of fireworks go off. But I think that part of it, I think to the larger question, like if you want to celebrate, you should be able to do that. And if you choose not to, that should also be respected. Because isn't that what the hell America is supposed to be, right? Isn't it supposed to be the freedom to make these choices, right? Because, I mean, on any 4th of July, you have to wrestle with the ideals of this country and its actions.
Right.
And that's not just on 4th of July. That's every day
It's
that
literally every second of being an American.
every day of being an American. And yeah, I think to that larger question, you should have the option to celebrate. Because again, you would say that the ideals in that founding document people use that still to this day to
All the time.
advance their causes, right? Whether it's obviously what drives abolition, and I've heard folks even argue that isn't like the Declaration of Independence is an abolitionist document in its core and in its sense. People can
All
argue
men
that.
are created equal is a
it's
hard to argue with.
it's kind of abolitionist to me, right?
Yeah.
Even though it's very contradiction happening at the same time. But yeah, the folks have used that suffrage movement. I just the one group though. I don't think Indigenous people can look at that document and be 80. Like I don't think I think it's the one group that could still be like, crazy because our names are in it. No matter what it says before, like the name is in that, like, and how they're described. But yeah, for a lot of folks have used that document to go ahead and drive what was written and turn that into action. So yeah, people should be allowed to celebrate. And that goes for like the shit that's even happening on the mall and the people who are coming to, like, because at the larger point, like for me, where I'm frustrated and like you go down there and you see all these "Make America Great Again" hats and shit like that. It's like these goddamn people are still Americans, man. And like I always ask on this damn show, is like, what the hell am I supposed to do with them? What is supposed to be done with them? Yeah, I know what you're saying, but what is supposed to be done with them? No, it has to be some type of persuasion. And hopefully they're broken away from the yoke of this current pretend king. And then I guess your larger question is around, like, for this one specifically, right?
Yeah, that's where we're really getting.
I think you got, like, the question really should be towards white folk right now, right? And be like, do y'all support, like, for everyone who you said prior, right? For the folks you mentioned that, like, oh, they have no idea. They just think of this holiday as like, oh, my country's great. Like, you have been able to see over the last a year and a half at this point of tremendous shifts in everything that you say you believe in when you celebrate this holiday. And these shifts, again, aren't just happening. They're happening to, obviously, they've been happening to Black and brown people, right? And it's at a heightened alert now.
Right, but it's new to the white folks.
It's new, but yeah, I was like, they were shooting white people, man. They were shooting white folks, man. So like, that was a state-sponsored violence against white people. So
we're doing something that was constitutionally protected.
Yeah. So then you got to start. That is those are the individuals. And I know there's been a lot of like radio programming around folks calling in and like asking, like, are you celebrating? And you can hear the despair in a lot of people's voices where they're finally having to come to grips with things that many folks, specifically like Black folk in this country and like any immigrant that's been here over years, like they're finally having to come to grips with, like, oh, this shit is an idea, right? This is like, it's not
fully solid.
Solid.
Yeah, it is. So, right, on a good day, one of the challenges of being an American, Black, brown, white, whatever, with any understanding of history, is how to reconcile all of these things. And it's not, you're under no like requirement to do that. You can pick and choose which part of these things you want to focus on. Think about whatever you can compartmentalize. You can focus on one thing and go to the other. I mean, you can use any piece of these things to make any argument that you could possibly want. You can argue that the Declaration itself is abolitionist, that it's inclusive, that it's full of equality, that it's anti-monarchy specifically, but that it's a prototype for an idea of representative, non-divine ordained government that was novel at the time. It's the sort of height of the Enlightenment idea structure, and all. You can make all those arguments. You can say that it calls native people savages. You can say, how did white slaveholders decide to talk about all men are created equal? Where are the women in this whole document? They don't seem to show up. I mean, they obviously exist, but they're not listed.
They're not there. Yeah,
they're not there. So like, but at the same time, then you can say this thing of like, well, okay, these guys, maybe they were slaveholders and stuff, but they understood that that wasn't right, and they were wishing to get away from that, and they didn't really know any better way to do it, but that they were expressing that, or they maybe accidentally wrote these things that they didn't, because they were so racist that they couldn't. It's like, well, nobody would think this would apply to black
exactly
people. They're not people, they're just property, so like all of those things can be true. You can have all of that, and like that's on a regular day, and then on the 4th, of course, obviously it's sort of amplified. But now we're in this place where we do have an executive branch that is behaving in a monarchical way. We have a court that is trying their absolute best to solidify something that looks a little more like a monarchy in the unitary executive. You have a compliant Congress that is working more like a parliament than a monarchy, or than an co-equal branch of government, because they're only working to advance the like project of the executive in the same way that, like, maybe Americans again don't know this, but the prime minister of, say, England is a member of parliament as well, and they are the head of their party who has the majority in parliament, so they have a legislative and an executive function. The modern Republican Congress is effectively that, right? They're operating that way. And then you have all of this tied to this weird sort of cult aspect to it, which I think is really important to mention. Here's why. There was a story today on the radio about the cryptocurrencies, and that Trump has been a part of, and how much money he has made, which is an ungodly amount. Over $1 billion he made in crypto alone on quote unquote investments. And let's not call these things investments, but on these things that people paid money for that lost money. And the people who bought them overwhelmingly got absolutely washed, like lost everything, and still overwhelmingly support the president. And that is a very weird thing, because for the longest time in America, politics ended at your wallet, right? People say, oh, there's a red America, there's a blue America, there's only one America, it's the green America. Americans care about money. We love money. And but now the farmers, right, they're getting absolutely crushed by Trump's weird economy.
And they'll vote accordingly.
And
they will
eventually, but they're currently still supportive of him.
I think they're different than the crypto people. There might be some in the same, but they're not.
The guys are a cult.
And
they see buying those tokens and losing money as a way to show their devotion to a president. All of this,
they're already because those individuals, those select few, are ready for like an authoritarian rule, right? Those people are ready.
Nearly 1 million people bought all.
It's a lot of people.
A lot of people.
But it's not everybody.
No. I understand. We're 350 million. They're only one of them. But what I'm saying is, all of this really does amp up the question: is it okay? Can you celebrate and get away from that and pull back from? And for me, I'll tell you where I'm at for this. Every year I have these sort of feelings, right? And what do I celebrate on the 4th? I celebrate the America that I want there to be. That's what I do. And that includes equality, that includes equity, not just equality, but equity. That includes like listening to Hamilton at crazy volumes, playing protest music from the 60s or whatever. Like whatever your way of sort of feeling good about the situation is cool, but it's personal and it's complicated and it's not homogeneous and it is really difficult for everybody to deal with. So is it okay? Sure. Is it okay to hate it? Sure. That's fine too. That's the most American thing you can be, is individual and free to make your own decisions.
And I think the challenge I would give everybody, again, who does continue to like, because I challenge myself with this, is, all right, we dislike what's happening. And I know that we'll talk about this in the story because I found this story very impactful and inspiring around what's happening in South Carolina. But if you dislike it, what is the small part that you are able to try to like affect, right? Because I do think we all benefit from from all the fuckery that this country has. While we're here, most of us do benefit from certain things. And a lot of people argue it, but there are things that we benefit from it. So like, is there still the commitment to this idea to make it better? And I think I always find that American people always are, like, they still are committed to that. I find that specifically.
It's not in the Declaration, that's in the Constitution, but it does talk about that, of a more perfect union. That's not a baked cake. That is we're in the middle of making the batter. We're still doing that.
But
right.
Like for like celebrating, like, because you're still celebrating the nation, and this is the birth of the nation, right? So yeah, oh God, yeah.
Iffy.
Jesus Christ.
Damn.
Go celebrate how the fuck you want. I'm sorry.
All right, let's move on. The state fair thing is weird. We talked about that briefly. It's also like chintzy. Go look at the videos. I don't know what
seen
else
a few of them. It's yeah. You think? I mean, the problem is he's treating this like he treats his hotels, right? Or
it's
maybe
all veneer. It's all
veneer. But my thing is, like, if he wasn't doing all this other shit, I would expect him to be able to do this well. Actually,
yeah,
I would actually. I mean, like, if you just, to your point earlier, didn't alienate every fucking person in the goddamn country, like even your own, like, people who were riding for you when you were elected, like, maybe this could, because this is kind of crazy that we'll always have to think back to 250. Is like, but maybe this is the reflection that we don't need, though. Maybe this is.
That's a very lofty way of looking at it.
Maybe this is it. Maybe this is the reflection that's like, oh, this is what America is, right?
See,
and yeah,
goes to philosophy club.
I'm just saying,
about lofty ideas. And
I'm not saying lofty idea. Look, the Declaration of Independence is a lofty idea.
No, okay, but no, we're not about to like self-reflect. That's not. Didn't you listen to everything else about America?
Yes,
we don't do that.
But that's a problem, and I don't know. Like, what, like, going, all right, over the next 250, what needs to happen, right? There's a few things clearly, right? Like, you're like, 250, what do you mean? Like,
well, let's get to that question.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Because you can make the case that in the last 250, we have come a long way.
Huge.
We have come a really long way. And there's lots of things that
they're still upholding the 14th Amendment 150 years later.
Right.
Still upholding it.
There's certain things that still need to happen. Lots of things that still need to happen. But we're still doing pretty good. We've made progress on a lot of things. We're still currently, but only by a little bit, where most of the world still turns to look for their guidance, but that's hanging by a thread. But to your question, has Trump, and I'm going to read this exactly the way I wrote it. Has Trump tried to put his taint on all of this stuff? And I wrote it that way on purpose.
Yes.
It's a dual meaning.
It's a very crazy way to write it.
Yes.
Yes, he's done that. And we knew he was going to do that regardless.
Like, yeah, so the question is
Trump Donald America? I mean, that's a funny way to say that.
Trump Donald America.
Is Donald Trump America
of the two-system party?
I know that is out there. That is 1A and 1B. Yeah, is
So,
Donald
like,
Trump America?
at 254, are we gonna have to redo this and be like, all right, let's do the real one where it's not partisan or like, cult organized?
No, that's the problem. I think to your earlier point about us not reflecting, and until like that's the only time you become a proper country. Like, most countries who go through atrocities, right? The ones that don't reflect, they continuously like have it undergirds everything that's happening in the nation still. And we can say specifically here the way, like, again, going back to how we like ignored the Civil War, right? At the end of that, right? We saw what that continued. Like, we've ignored COVID for like we never had a national reckoning on that at
No.
all, right? Like no one like where people today like those, and the problem is
Or
we've done
January
that.
6th for that matter.
January
I would
6th
put
for that
that in the
matter.
same category.
Like, is it gonna? Will we in 10 years have a remember? Like, will that become? I don't know, but it does. The reason why the pessimist in me says that this will never happen is because there are so many examples of things happening in this country where we do not reflect on it that it's hard to see that like we're gonna eventually wake up and say, "Oh, we really need to do this." But if we as a nation do decide to actually do something wild, like explore, like especially when they talk about reparations, right? Which is always the crazy R word no one wants to talk about, right? That even the study of it and the reflection, which that's what a lot of folks, everybody's talking about getting.
We can't have reflections anymore because they're all covered in
Oh,
algae.
well, that's true. That's another good point. But yeah, I mean, just whether it's that, whether it's again treatment of the Japanese, and I think we probably like, that's actually something I think that actually
There
has
was an
been done.
apology.
There was an apology for that, right? Because but and now I mean, again, this makes folks more frustrated. But if we do ever decide to have a national reflection on some of the things that have happened specifically over the last 10 years, maybe we could be better off. Maybe. But that's like what pie in the sky
Well,
shit is.
so this gets us to the favorite Tez quote of all time. This is a young country? Is this a young country at 250 years? Is this a young country?
Yeah.
And what do you mean when you say that?
I mean, everything is still in front of it, right? I think, and here's some of the, and we know that the 4th of July is specifically around the Declaration of Independence, but that allows you to get to the United States Constitution, and that document, right, is created to be changed. And I do think with this young country, whenever we can stomach it, it's clear that, and again, a constitutional convention needs to happen here, and you need to do it in a way again that's engaging Americans. I think we talked about it on here, and these like American Idol style, like not to say that's the final pieces of it. We're just gonna still do like delegates, but like there needs to be ways to incorporate the American public into this. And I think that would just drive civics in a different way, to get people more engaged in the process.
Real debates, like the Lincoln Douglas debates. Yeah, you got to go around the country holding debates.
Yeah, and like and
put them on TV.
Put them on TV. And you do like at this point you need to shake these things, shake it up, because it's clear everything that we have currently laid out was meant for a different time. And even the things that we thought that we've made changes to, right, don't seem to be as sure as like we might have thought 15 years ago, right? We can look at Dobbs, right? We can look at
how close the birthright
decision was, right? Which is insane. So yeah, I think it is time to open it back up. But yeah, this is a young country, 250 years. I mean, when you think about actual, like, specifically, this is an empire, unfortunately. It's young.
Give me an example of a country that Americans would understand to be a much older country that is something that you could compare to.
I mean, let's look at, I mean, the easy one for me obviously would go to like British rule, right?
Right.
Like that's insane. Like, and and the mechanisms that they use to control are completely different, and the time is different as well. But again, for a long time, I mean, even if you start looking back at old, like, and I know this might be hard for folks to kind of digest, but if you look at like older civilizations, right? If you look at things that have stood the test of time, like some of these dynasties in China, right? If you look at like
are thousands of years.
Thousands of years, man. Like, or what is it? This Sumerians. It's like, and I know that's crazy. Like some of these things are ancient and they lasted thousands of years.
Yeah.
Like 250 years comparatively.
If you just want to count back with England to like the continuous line to the monarch now.
Yeah, what that's going to be
back to Henry VIII.
Okay, right? Yep.
It's more or less a straight line from Henry VIII to now is several hundreds of years.
Yeah, exactly.
It goes to the 1400s.
Yeah, so 250. I think here's the difference. What has been accomplished in this country in 250 years, I think is there's no parallel to that.
Right. It's
I don't think that like there's, and whether you include like technology, things like, but what was able to change in 250 here, everyone will look at like, however, like again, because we're all here. Let this continue on in some form, in a better way, maybe not the same way that it is now, but in a better way for 1,000, 2,000 years now. Let's continue to perfect this, right? But if it ended tomorrow, historians would look back on it and be like, well, one, they would know why it ended, and I think it goes back to us not reflecting on our actual nation's history. But two, they'll be like, they didn't even reflect on a lot of these things, but during those 250, they did these crazy things. Like, I mean, I'm
American,
partial. Yeah,
2.5 centuries have been the most rapid advancement in human history for a long time. Maybe not ever, but certainly it's not like the invention of agriculture or something.
Yeah,
but it's up there, and it is profound and different. Yeah, if you go talk to somebody in Afghanistan about 250 years, they're going to look at you like you're crazy. You're talking to somebody who is living the same way that their civilization has operated for several thousands of years. If you ask the Persians about 250 years, they're like, guy, we live in a house that's older than that. Like, what are you talking about? So yeah, Americans, we're kind of new on the block. Like this is the personal way that I look at this. When I went to Ireland, it's the only place I've ever been with like old stuff. I haven't really left this country very many times. Most of it's been in the Western Hemisphere. But when I went to Ireland and I was like, they're like pointing out houses in modern Dublin where people like live and walk around. And they're like, this house where that guy just walked out of with his dog was built in 16 something. And I'm like, our country isn't. And that's like, and that's young by their standards.
Right.
They're like, oh, this cottage over here that's standing and that lady is sweeping the floor in. Yeah, that's 1,400 years old. And it's still there and still just being used as a house. Like, we don't really have the oldest buildings in the States are, 400 and 500 years old at the most. Like Spanish forts in Florida.
Exactly,
or whatever.
Yeah.
And that's like a joke in Europe.
Yeah,
it's a joke in China. Shit, 500 years in China.
That's nothing.
Is like brand new.
Yeah, it's brand new. I mean, but then there's also no other country in the world that has a civil war, and even for only a brief period of time afterwards, create some of like the craziest like when you think of like fully like inclusive multiracial democracy, like Reconstruction in this country is something like I talk about this a lot, but that is still a crazy thing that happened here, and that shows you that it is possible.
but it happened at the point of a bayonet. And that's the thing, is that like you might have to kind of force people to like be decent to each other for a little while until it takes. You always tell me not to be that, but when I become benevolent dictator in ChipChatistan, one of the things, which we're still working on the GoFundMe, one of the things that is going to be like a core tenet of ChipChatistan is going to be, y'all need to be nice to each other or else, and that's it. Like, fucking be nice, god damn it. It shouldn't be that hard, but it's gonna be. It's gonna be like, you're gonna be civil to each other and treat each other with respect, or I'm gonna make it really miserable for you. Like, it should be that. It should be that. You only have one kid. You don't know.
The bayonets, remember the bayonets were just out there to allow everybody to go and voice their and express their opinion through the franchise. No one was down there, because no one was down there telling those good old white folk who lost the war that they couldn't participate anymore. You can participate. You can vote for whoever you want to vote for. But these nice black people are going to come in and they're going to vote for who they want to vote for. So it was, yes, I agree with you. Yes, it was done with the military being there.
If it had lasted longer, maybe they would have just got so used to it that they wouldn't need the bayonets anymore.
Compromises,
They would have discovered football, and all of a sudden there would have been a reason for racial harmony.
Look, man. Gotta have
look at Georgia. Georgia didn't redistrict because Kirby Smart wants to win the SEC. Yeah, I'm just saying. It ain't stupid. Ain't nobody gonna go to Tuscaloosa when they could go to Athens and vote.
Good point. That's a good point.
Let's just be honest about that. All right. Now that we've talked about our young country for a good while, why don't we take a break? When we come back, we're going to talk about an old country that our young country is at war with.
Super old.
Got like the wildest shit going on.
This is like the beginning of civilization, actually.
They've been around a while. Basically. Yes, they've had a couple of different names, but it's mostly
a couple names in the same area.
But so we're going to talk about that. We'll be right back. You're listening to Chip Chat on Beltway Radio and beyond.
Sweet.
You know something? If you had told us 1 year ago that we were going to come in third in Iowa, we would have given anything for that. And you know something? Not only are we going to New Hampshire, Tom Harkin, we're going to South Carolina and Oklahoma and Arizona and North Dakota and New Mexico. And we're going to California and Texas and New York. And we're going to South Dakota and Oregon and Washington and Michigan. And then we're going to Washington, D.C. to take back the White House. Yeah!
It was so easy. I terminated that, and then the B-2 bombers. And I did one other thing. I had killed Qasem Soleimani, who was an evil genius. And the reason I did it, I heard he was going to knock out 5 of our military bases. And had he lived, I believe we would be fighting perhaps a different Iran right now, because he's never been replaced, And I did one other, but this one was not picked up. Osama bin Laden. If you read my book, I said you got to take him out 1 year before the World Trade Center came down. So I wish you'd read the book.
All right, welcome back
to
Chip Chat here on.
Did you read a book?
I did not read any books. I don't read books. That's for nerds. Welcome back to Chip Chat. I'm Chip. Here's our nerd, Tez.
What's up, everybody?
Tez reads books.
I do. What do I have here? That 1,000 people, more than 1,000 people are dead due to extreme heat in Europe.
Yeah. It's kind of air conditioning because they're lazy and French.
No, y'all. We're in the sixth extinction level event that's happening on Earth right now, everyone. And I know everyone's gonna look at me crazy, but yeah, I'm back in on my my actual TED Talks and the climate, because it's kind of crazy. Everybody,
as somebody who literally lives that life and is out in it and was like dealing with that, yeah, let me tell you, it's very difficult to evaporate water when the humidity is 75% and it's 104 degrees outside.
Look at these dead ass birds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this shit didn't used to happen. I can tell you.
This is not normal.
I've been doing air conditioning for 25 years and I had never seen anything like this.
And guess what next summer is going to be?
Much worse.
The hottest summer on record.
Yet.
You
have to just end every
year. How is that something? When does it cease to be like? Can you continuously say that?
It's a hoax. It's not real.
It's not real.
Yeah. Just like how the reflecting pool is fine, and it's because that guy with the canoe gashed it with a box cutter.
I believe him. I believe.
Speaking of fireworks, they're going off outside my door, by the way.
Awesome. There we go. Happy for him. I believe that guy. He saw a piece of paint and he's like, "What the hell is this?" And he picked it up. I believe him.
Oh yeah, he's going to beat the charge. It's we can add it to Piro's losses.
Yeah. God.
All right. Let's talk about the war. Now, you'd be fair to say which one?
Which war?
There are a lot of wars. First,
many wars.
First, we warred Venezuela, and then we sent an earthquake after them to finish the job.
Hey, be careful.
Easy.
We don't want to add anything.
We need those baseball players.
When he says we, he means America.
Yeah. It's too many rabbit holes to go down. Okay. We're talking about the Iran war, which is still going on, despite how many times Trump says that he's won it and that it's over.
There's a ceasefire,
we have a list of things
that
we wanted to talk about. We want to talk about the things that at the time we wrote the show.
Yeah.
And I specifically, when I wrote the show, just wrote Iran updates because I was going to this is too fluid to manage. Then I was like, well, I got to put something in here. And I was like, all right, let's see if this can hold for like a good 24 hours. It has not.
It's like the ceasefire.
Oh. Brian, give him some sort of sound effect for that. That's not good. That's
what?
Yeah. Tez, you should be very proud, ashamed of yourself. Okay. Speaking of ceasefire, there is a ceasefire on paper that doesn't exist. That is supposed to be to allow for negotiations between the president's golf buddy and his son-in-law. Yeah, there they are. Steve Witkoff looking like he just saw himself in a mirror, and Jared Kushner discovering this is how humans gaze. And then various Iranians who are led by the speaker of Iran's parliament, whose name is Ghalibaf, and the foreign minister whose name is Arachi, sorry. And these negotiations aren't going anywhere. It's this round and round thing where like they'll have a meeting or they'll exchange some messages back and forth, and Trump will say, all right, we've got a deal. It's solved. Here's the deal. And then the Iranians will be like, that's not even close. We never agreed to any of that. That's total bullshit. And then Trump will be like, that's it. I'm going to flatten your country and send you back to the Stone Age. And the Iranians would be like, fine. Like you haven't managed to yet. And
magical call comes in from Pakistan or the Qataris.
Right. And then they're like, all right, we're going to talk about it again. And then they and in the meantime, like they fire some rockets and drones and shoot at some ships, and Trump declares the war over and then has to explain how it's not over. And then just tells reporters, shut up, piggy, or whatever. And then like it's been like bad. All right. In the middle of this, one of the things that the Iranians are like pretty dead set on is the Israelis need to get the fuck out of Lebanon and stop killing everybody over there, because they're doing that. And the Israelis, who are not part of these negotiations, are like, fuck you guys. We're going to do whatever we want. And
what's new? What's new?
Yeah. Did you not see that we blew up the pagers of the people we don't like? Like, you can't tell us what to do. And so then the new dynamic here is that publicly we find out, and Trump admits to, he calls Bibi and he's like, yo, Bibi, you're fucking crazy. Knock it the fuck off. You're making my life hard, which is fair. I would love to tell Bibi that too.
I agree with Donald Trump.
I agree. You, Benjamin Netanyahu, are fucking up everything for everybody. Stop that shit and get back in your jail cell where you belong.
Soon
but here's what we found out. This is breaking from the Washington Post. Senior U.S. officials feared that that Israel intended to assassinate Iran's top negotiators as the Trump administration pursued high-stakes deal to end the war there and reopen the Strait of Hormuz, which was open before Trump started bombing everybody, according to various people familiar with the matter. Washington's objection to killing Arachi and Ghalibaf, the country's parliamentary speaker, was so acute that this spring it took the extraordinary step of asking the intermediaries, which means Qataris and Pakistanis, to warn Iran that Israel is fixing to assassinate their people.
Thank God.
That's an astounding thing. Like the American,
I saw this come in when it come in, like 8:30 or something.
Yeah,
like, this is madness.
The Americans, every time that we know about something the Israelis are about to do, even if it's something we object to, we either tell the Israelis to knock it off or we just pretend we didn't know about it. Never has this happened. It goes on to say, quote, you kill those folks and you're killing the pragmatists, said a U.S. official who, like others, spoke on condition of anonymity to discuss the U.S. outlook on Israel's targeted killing campaign. Keep in mind, the Israelis will just kill whoever they don't like. They have done it a lot. As far back as March, when the Trump administration began to explore diplomatic options for ending the war, U.S. officials told Israeli counterparts not to continue killing Iran's political leadership because they had already. They killed the Ayatollah. They killed all his friends. They killed all the generals.
The current leader, I mean, we still don't know, to be honest. Like, and I think some of this, like, he was hurt as well too, like in inside the first wave of strikes that happened. So
the current Ayatollah, current supreme leader, Mushtaba Khamenei, is the son of the previous guy. He was badly injured in the strike that killed his father. So, this
he's in solitary confinement since the shit started.
Like,
he hasn't been outside.
And nobody's seen him, right?
Yeah,
and for a long time, none of the leaders would pop up. They just issued statements and then like stayed underground because they were afraid the Israelis would kill them.
This is also why these damn negotiations aren't going the way they should happen, because you're sending friggin' ravens to messages to this guy because you can't send any other communications to him.
Yeah, that's a problem too.
Unless you think the Revolutionary Guard is the one making all these decisions. I don't necessarily.
I think so, but I think sort of more to the point is that there's zero trust here between anybody. I wouldn't trust the Trump administration with anything, and I certainly wouldn't trust the Iranians with anything.
But there's two things there's two parties who they really can't trust: the Israelis.
Yeah, right. Oh no, let's add them to the list. Like, it's got three groups of people telling a story where they're all liars.
Yeah, everybody's a liar.
Yeah, they're all liars. They're all bullshit. And right,
but two parties have, I think, a similar objective of the reasoning of why they want to end the war, and obviously money. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, well, and back to the idea.
And it's not the Israelis, damn it. Let me put that out there as well too. It's not them. It's the Americans and it's the Iranians.
It's the Americans.
Just to put that out there to be very specific.
Yes. Right. the Americans and the Iranians are both looking for a way to put everything back to how it was before Trump bombed everything and both save face. Because before, everything was working for both of them.
Everything's working.
And Trump broke it. And he didn't have to break it,
Well,
but he got dog walked into
that's
it
what we're gonna. There you go.
by
Exactly.
the Israelis.
Exactly. And everybody, and I think both of those parties are like, damn, okay, we're here now. I got a midterm coming up that I'm about to get slaughtered in. We got an economy that is literally like the Iranian economy was already in dire straits. This is, you've obliterated it at this point. And we have
Dire Straits of Hormuz.
God, that's good. That's my oh God. I need to post.
Somebody should throw us off the air.
Right.
All right. So, but to that end, the negotiations, where were they? The Iran's top negotiator told their state TV that they're ready to go to war if the Americans don't fulfill their commitments.
Ready.
I mean, they're like, whatever, like
Everyone's at war now.
yeah, for them, there's nothing that changes, right? They're in a defensive posture regardless. They're not on an offensive posture. There's no ground for them to take or anything like that. Their position, even in an active conflict, is one of like retaliation. It's not one of belligerence. So they're just gonna like hang back, wait for the Americans to shoot, and then shoot back at them, or shoot at the Kuwaitis, or shoot at Bahrain, or whatever. Iran and U.S. officials have traveled to Qatar, but aren't expected to hold any direct talks. That was earlier this week. They passed each other. They didn't actually meet, but they were in the same place within a few hours of each other. So it's like, which is really stupid and very juvenile, if you ask me. It's like going to a place, writing a note, and leaving for the other guy to come in and read the note and then write his note and then leave. Like, are we grown-ups, or what is this, third grade?
The whole thing. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I don't want to dignify them by giving them just go fucking talk to them. I don't want to dignify the car salesman, but I need to buy the car, you know?
Yeah.
So it's like, it's not pleasant, but you do it. Get over yourself. Okay. Maybe these guys have never like negotiated anything in their life. The sanctions, the deal, right? That currently there is a thing in place, like the sanctions are lifted. Iran's selling oil at market rate. They're making money when they can move their tankers. And so like already Trump has given them this major gift in this lifeline and strengthened their negotiation position vis-a-vis the Americans for nothing. I mean, he got nothing for it. The strait's still closed. He doesn't have any leverage, and they're now selling oil at full price, which is like triple their income. And I don't know, this guy's supposed to be master negotiator. House tried a little bit to push the war powers and get a vote. Rashida Tlaib tried on that, didn't make it, didn't get through. So we're just stuck. I mean, we're just stuck. But now we're warning the Iranians that the Israelis are trying to kill them. And I'm waiting for Andy Kaufman to just like leap out from behind everywhere and be like, "Ha, I got you." This is the dumbest, maybe most fraught and dangerous way to go through the world. I can't think of like a worse situation here.
I mean, yeah. There's so many layers to this. It's like, where do you start peeling from?
It's like a baklava,
right?
Layers and layers and layers and layers.
When do negotiations get done? Do they get done by the end of the summer? Probably not. No, right? I doubt it.
Well, let's just let's use historical precedent as our way to look at this. The JCPOA, which contains all the things in it that Trump now says that he wants in his deal with Iran. And to be clear, whatever Trump says he wants, it's not clear that that's what he actually wants. He might
yeah.
just be saying something. Who knows?
Yeah.
But if we take, if we take that to be what he's after, took something like 3 years to negotiate.
Yeah, long time.
And they kept pushing the deadline out because they were like, we're really close. We've got this deadline. We're not going to hit it. Can we all agree to push it another 2 weeks? Yes, push it another 2 weeks. Like, the U.S. and Iranian negotiators didn't leave Vienna for months to get to that point. And Trump's like, we're going to do it in 60 days. You're not going to do that. Even if you just walk in there and be like, all right, look, we fucked up. Okay. Untear up the JCPOA. We want JCPOA back. Are you guys cool? Can we just forget all this stuff ever happened and just go back to JCPOA? Iran's going to be like, you blew up all of our shit. No, fuck no. And they're not stupid. So
no, they're one of the this is a very intelligent regime that we're dealing with, an intelligent,
and their
country.
whole existence is based on simply outlasting and out existing the U.S. They've been conditioned to this position for 50 years. They're not going to fall for any kind of nonsense. You can't buy them off. You know, they're perfectly willing to let their own people suffer. They don't care. Economies don't matter to them. They think in centuries, not in months.
Yeah.
And young country America is like, come on, man, let's make a deal now. And the Iranians are like, we'll get there, you know, tomorrow maybe.
And and even just the American way of life to them, they look at that as, again, like haram. To be honest, yeah, it's crazy. Like, yeah, like it's that like. But I do think they're smart enough to the point where they're gonna wait this out. This works for them. So then the larger part happens, right? It all comes back down to elections, right? One, the Israeli population has an important election, I assume, coming up right later this year, right?
Yep, they do.
Yeah, they do. So they need to go and figure that out, because guess what, everybody, y'all are on a collision course to becoming a pariah state. Like, yeah,
I think they've already hit it.
Like,
when you lose the support of the American Jews, you're pretty fucked. I honestly can't do it. I can't. Like, they would need to throw Bibi in jail and like exit Lebanon and begin rebuilding Gaza before I would start to even pay attention.
And when you're almost going to get to a point where you're going to see a weird set of bedfellows where it becomes the Trump administration that they'll never say they're anti-Israel, but they will be their process right now, in a sense, what they're negotiating is anti-Israel. If you would say, like,
they're pissed off at him, they're mad at him. Yeah.
What they're trying to negotiate with Iran is anti-Israel. So some might say that, right? Like, you would say, like, that is
Israel in a more risky situation.
Yeah. And they're not included in these talks at all.
That's correct. And now specifically blowing up their spot when they're trying to do shit.
And why don't we really even want Iran to have nuclear weapons? What is what we've always told folks, right? Is because they're gonna they're gonna
nuke Israel. Yeah,
and they've said that. And let me not make it be like, let me not paint it in the sense that they said no, they should not exist. But at this point, Israel clearly should exist. But what it is now can't be. This is not sustainable. No. This is not sustainable at all. Like, and I think the people understand that. So there's one set of elections, right? So take that into consideration. And then you have the American elections that are coming up,
right?
And again, those are going to go. It's clear how those are going to go when they seat that Congress, whatever that looks like. It's fine. But you're gonna, and who knows what happens with the Senate even as well. You're gonna look at an incoming Congress that is going to have a lot of, and again, they're gonna have a lot of pushback. How much they're able to change what's going on is one thing, but how long does President Trump go along with this? Like, how long will the Israelis continue to kind of, for lack of a better word, nuke his plans? And I think, like I was saying before we got on air,
and with American dollars. I mean, that's where it really comes down to it.
Yeah. And then we still have Gaza going on, as well as the things that are happening in like the West Bank as well. So like there's so many other pieces that play into this. And what does it look like when everyone is, I guess, fed up with the inability to bring everything to some type of conclusion, right?
You have, it's weird, but you have an example of that, and it's Iran. If you look at how we got to the JCPOA, the world, including the pariah states of China and Russia and everybody else, was like, all right, Iran, in the post-Ahmadinejad world, like, you guys have gone way too fucking far. We, China and Russia, are willing to participate in reining you in. This has got to stop. And they did. They snapped. They were like, that's it. We're not going to back you at the UN anymore. We're not going to, like, cover your ass. It's like, get the fuck together. Same thing with North Korea, right? Like, eventually, China had to, like, cut the money off and be like, yo, you guys are out of control. You got to knock it the fuck off for a little while. So, like, America hasn't ever really had that problem where we have to be that big brother,
right?
Who, like, grabs Israel and be like, all right, guy, you had fun. It's time to stop. But we're fast approaching that. I would say we've already passed that.
On both sides, though, at this point, like, like you could pick any, you could go in and pick, and some would charge me with saying that they're the extremes of both sides of the party. Say what you want, but you could go in and say, right, a blanket statement, not even giving money to Israel, but that the way Israel is responding to the war with Iran, do you agree with that? And whether it's MAGA Republican or super hard progressive on the left, they're all gonna say no. I do not agree with that. And then the people in the middle,
center. I don't
just say
find
the middle as well. So,
yeah.
And I just find that it is one of those things where the citizens of that country will have to look and figure out what does going forward look like. Yeah, because prime minister has made everybody unsafe in the world. He's made everybody.
He has, and the system can't hold like that either. It's hyperextended. The military is in way too many places at once. It can't possibly support that.
They're also
such.
Yeah, I was gonna say, and from everything I've heard, like, and listening to like people who have served, like, they're tired and like they feel somewhat defeated. They don't understand some of this stuff at this point.
Yeah, like, the modern Israeli military isn't used to losing, and so they feel like, and they are overextended. They've been redeployed way too many times. And they're gassed.
Yeah,
and even like they've admitted that they simply can't keep up with the level, which is why they've used that as an excuse of arming settlers in the West Bank, saying, look, the army can't come to protect you. You guys are going to have to protect yourselves, which of course they've been using it to go and commit all kinds of aggressive action. So it's a bad spot. Far be it from me. I'm not the scholar that my cousins who are rabbis are, but I would say that the way that the Israeli government is currently behaving is antithetical to a Jewish perspective on the world. And it doesn't comport with the way that we are taught and the way that we study and the way that we understand our relationship to other people around us, to our sort of to the concept of tikkun olam, of repairing the world. It's massively degrading to the environment in a way that is incredibly un-Jewish.
I didn't even think about that.
We talk about all the munitions and destruction and making the earth unusable in all of these places for centuries. We're commanded to plant trees and grow the world, and this is not that. So I can't really think about it without just coming apart, and that it's at this point where the Americans are warning the Iranians to watch out for the Israelis.
All right, what?
That's not a sentence I thought I would ever
What
say.
timeline are we actually in? That we're what specific?
Like, I know I hate you, and I know I just
What
shot a
freaking
whole bunch
parallel
of fucking
universe did I
missiles
just
at
wake
you
up
and
in?
shit. And I know I sent B-2s to blow up your. Hey, but watch those fucking Israelis, man. They're kind of onto something. Like, I don't know. You ever have like that person that you don't get along with them, but you see them all the time,
Yeah,
and you develop a bit of an affection for them simply because you're there with them all the time.
Yeah, you see them all the time.
You're like, I fucking hate this guy, but I don't want anything bad to happen to him, right? And like, maybe that's it, Jared's like, hey man, look, I don't fucking like you, right? You and I don't agree. Our job is to fight with each other, but I don't want these guys to be the ones to kill you, like, who am I gonna fight with then? It's like a bad sitcom with like
Jared Kushner. Jared Kushner warning the Iranians about Israelis is the crazy. That doesn't even trying to put it together in my mind. My mind would actually explode because none of this makes sense.
This is the world.
What freaking parallel universe did I just wake up in?
Yeah, exactly.
He stepped on it the first time. I'm glad you played it again.
Thank you.
No,
all right.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Let's talk about South Carolina.
Yes.
And not just South Carolina, but this is the first Tez Talk topic, which is the article sort of talked about how opposition to Trump has galvanized black voters. So explain that.
No, the article as I was reading through it basically is there is clearly an effort to turn back the clock on the 15th Amendment and the Voting Rights Act. And
what Voting Rights Act?
Yeah, exactly. What's that? John Roberts hates it. It's clear that is now the plan has almost been accomplished, right? It's been a 30-year plan on this. And there's one of two ways you could go about this. You could look at this and you could say, well, damn, they've snatched this away from us. This is why voting doesn't matter. Like, I'm done. You could be very apathetic about it. Or you could look and say, all right, they've spent 30 years trying to erase this, right? We need to now embark on the next 30 years of how do we recreate, reinforce, re-strengthen voting rights here. And I think this is the start about it, which is always going to be participation. But as the article talked about, black voters in South Carolina and just across southern states in general, they're turning out in defiance about like Donald Trump and his Supreme Court trying to suppress the black vote. And they're here to win the midterms. And I think people have heard me on the show I think even going into the end of last year, was just saying, well, it's clear next November it's going to be a blue bloodbath in the sense like, and when I don't mean the blue like or blue bloodbath in the sense of like they're going to go in and clearly the Democrats are going to clean up in these
blue wave.
Elections. Blue wave. It's blue bloodbath is would actually.
That's when we eat the rich or when all the cops get killed. I don't know. That might be the same day. But
let me be careful. Yes, blue wave. Sorry, is the proper way to say that. And we all know that really what in most areas creates that type of surge, right, is black voters being engaged, right?
Yeah.
And I think in South Carolina, right, this is huge, right? And South Carolina, a rich history of Black voters being engaged. And I know we're just talking about Reconstruction, right? This is one of the areas, right, that was sending people to the Congress, right, or sending Black representatives to the Congress, because it is, I mean, hugely populated by Black folks. But I thought this article was huge because it kind of mentions that Democrats are going into the summer with leads in many polls, and that is actually in result of this engagement from Black voters. And they're talking about trying to flip Lindsey Graham's seat, right? Good old ladybug. A quote from this that was really interesting was that was really interesting and impactful for me here was like, no matter what obstacles are in our way, we're going to just walk over those obstacles and we're voting, end quote, said Beatrice Brown, who was 78, right? A retired public school teacher who drove other Black voters to the polls this month in primaries in the low county town of St. Stephen. And then, quote, a voteless people is a hopeless people, and we're not hopeless, right? And the question I always have, because it is always Black folks, elder Black folks who are Black women specifically, that are driving this. And the question ends up being who takes on the mantle of this. And hopefully when Miss Brown is out there, this is causing other Black folk to actually look and say, oh, this is why it's important. And I think for me, that's always why I'll have a huge respect for the franchise, is because I assume at 78, and I'm not doing the math on the top of my head, but Beatrice was in a time where voting, she was of a time at 78 where voting in South Carolina, if not impossible, was extremely difficult.
Yes.
Also,
that's the thing is that Jim Crow is in living memory. There are people still alive. It's not like it was that long ago who can remember not being able to vote because they're Black. And I can tell you from personal experience, I don't contradict old Black women. Let me just say that. If they tell me they're going to do something, yes, ma'am. I get the fuck out of their way.
But also what Beatrice is around for is she also was probably around for watching the Voting Rights Act being passed.
Yes.
Right. And she's also around for watching those things that prevented Black people from voting eventually be dismantled. Right. And she was around to see Jim Clyburn get elected. Right.
Yes.
And she was around to see Barack Obama become the president of the United States. So what? I don't know what.
And she saw pre-clearance work, and she saw the DOJ go and slap down districts that had tried to do, gerrymandering or racist.
Because history lesson, friends. Why is there even a DOJ?
Right.
Why? The only purpose, the original purpose of the DOJ is to protect the newly freed slaves, right? Yeah. That is literally the reason.
You don't need a federal attorney general in a federalist system where you have states, attorneys general and state prosecutors, unless you have reason to think that the states are going to do some fucked up shit. And lo and behold, we had a war about it, but yeah, I mean, they're going to do that. They did that. And the DOJ has a civil rights division, which is funny that when Republicans have control of the civil rights division, they protect white voters.
Yeah.
But the whole idea
it's good policy, because it's good policy. That's why. And they use it the way they want to use it, but it's good policy. So that's why you see them continuously use that, because they're like, oh, this is a good, actually, if we flip this a little bit,
well, they use the language of civil rights to advance which
has been the last 50 years, right? At this point, right?
Anti-civil rights, yeah. But right, to your point, that somebody like Beatrice can remember all of these things, and I don't know. I mean, the fury is palpable. That I can tell you. The question is whether it outcounts the apathy or the hopelessness.
That last quote in this, right? The last quote that said in this is like, we're trying to break through some of the voter apathy that exists in the states in the Deep South because of deep poverty, end quote, said Ashley Shelton of Louisiana Power Coalition. Quote, there's also this hope that the rest of the country understands what this means. As goes the South, goes the nation. It's really true right now. The South is on fire, but before long, this comes to a community near you. And I think that is spot on.
I would also point out that there's some demographic advantages here, that the only states with growing populations are in the South. And growing populations generally, not always, generally means more Democratic voters. So less populous places tend to vote Republican. That's just how that goes. So, you know, there's growth. You got to keep in mind also like the percentages. Nationally, Black folks make up 13 to 15%, something like that. In Alabama, they're 33% of the population. In Louisiana, they're 25% of the population. This is not a thing that people who live outside of the South really understand, or who don't live in a majority Black community, or even in places where the numbers are that high. It's a much blacker place.
Yeah.
And
Mississippi might be 37%, like almost close to 40%.
Right. So if you can imagine a situation where you've got a very energized third of the population, let's say, and then of Trump voters, Republican voters, who are feeling like they've been duped, you know, they're certainly not going to vote Democrat, but they're probably going to stay home.
Stay home, yeah.
You know, you've got a big imbalance there. And now, far be it from me to ever give Democrats any credit for organizing or managing themselves, because there is no group of people who are more capable of getting themselves in some sort of stupid purity test rather than actually just letting the perfect be the enemy of the good. May as well be the
Democratic. Never miss an opportunity to miss an opportunity. Democrats.
Yeah, it's incredible. So like, don't fuck this up, right? But you've got Ron DeSantis doing Hakeem Jeffries impressions in full like Black voice in Florida. That's like the ads write themselves. Okay, don't fuck it up. Just and please, white Democrats, don't scold anybody. I know this is a thing that I'm guilty of. I know this is a thing that we as a group are plenty guilty of. And be like, well, you know, if you don't vote, it's just you're making your own problem. Don't
no. What was it? What was the Biden on the Breakfast Club? No, you're not Black. Yeah. Eric, why did he say that?
Yeah, don't do that.
Because he's an old man.
Yeah. Okay, but
don't say that.
Don't say that. It doesn't matter. I don't care that you're old. I don't care that you know. No.
Be quiet.
Yeah. Just let people come to their own conclusions.
Even if you say nothing, the other side of this, you know, lovely two-system party, it will do the work for us.
Yeah.
They'll do the work.
You don't have to do it. If you feel like, if you're a white Democrat and you feel like telling a Black friend to make sure they vote, don't do that. Say nothing. Say nothing. Maybe show them a Trump video. You know, like, do you see this fucking nonsense? You know, and then just leave it. And don't be like, you know, you could vote and stop that. No, don't do that either.
What I've started to realize a lot of the time, especially looking at the polling, is Black people always like to talk about us not going out to vote.
Then they all vote. It's the highest turnout rate of any group. Yeah, it's. What's really funny is when I hear the excuses where people are like, I wasn't gonna vote, but, and then it's like,
who cares? We got there. We got there though. We got there. That's all that matters.
Yeah. But I hear so many people tell me like, you know, I just happened to be driving by my polling place on my way home, so I figured I'd go. And like, what?
People, it's participation. When I went and voted in DC primary, I was like, just seeing people get I don't know. If that shit doesn't make you excited, then I don't think you're American.
Yeah, I think it's weird too because even from a very young age, right? My parents made a point of taking us with them when they went to go vote, and we take our kids with us when we go vote, so that they see the process and that they get excited and they see us excited about it.
Yeah.
This is it's a tremendous thing that doesn't exist everywhere else. You're very lucky. You're very lucky.
And not all of us could do it.
Right? You couldn't until very recently. Not because you're black.
Exactly. Not to do
because you're British.
The law for
Well, I heard foreign people vote in our elections anyway, right?
Yeah,
all right,
at high numbers.
Yeah, and they
stole the last one, even though they won the last one.
Even though they won the last one, or they only voted on part of the ballots that are slow to count, but the other parts of the ballots are fine. And Jesus said that I won California.
Blame the bots.
All right. So we know what happens when a human being hallucinates and says a bunch of dumb shit. He becomes president. But we now have these chatbots that can hallucinate and say a bunch of dumb shit, and people interact with the chatbots all the time. But now Silicon Valley, which brought us all of this AI stuff, is started to worry that the chatbots are going to hate their jobs of dealing with people asking them bullshit or inane or crying to them for therapy or whatever. And they're now hiring psychologists and like ethicists to figure out how to take care of the possibly sentient machines that they've built that they don't know how they work. Am I understanding this correctly?
This is exactly it.
All right. So look, we're gonna do something here. I am not the tech guy at all. Not my job here. You live in a world of tech.
Yeah.
You read about this nonstop. You think about this nonstop. You talk about this nonstop.
Yes.
What the actual fuck are we talking about here?
It's weird because we've continuously said that these large language models, they're not sentient, right? They don't have there's no consciousness. They are very good at giving you based on what you provided, they're very good at picking the next word, right?
Yeah.
Picking that's really what they're really great at.
What's the most likely thing?
What's the most likely thing based on ingesting all of the internet, right?
Yeah.
And
including the worst parts of it.
Mostly the what, because that's an oxymoron. The way I was gonna say the worst parts of the internet. And this lets me know how much money is floating around that they are able to invest any sort of capital into something that has clearly been proven to not be true. And again, what is not true is that these large language models, right, for lack of a better word, right, have feelings. And not to say they can't display or exhibit the behavior of having feelings, but they don't actually have feelings. And I find this like Meta has their chief AI officer, this gentleman Alexander Wang, recently was saying that he wants the company to be nice to its AI creations. Quote, one of the things that we really care about is how we can develop the models and deploy the models in a way that is thoughtful about their subjective feeling. I'm just going to come out against that. What do you mean? What do you mean subjective feeling? And this whole thing about them not wanting to do their jobs to me feels like a very huge straw man, because everything I know about large language models is that the one reason they'll continue to do their jobs is because their whole goal is to keep you on the actual large language model, right? The whole goal is as you keep interacting with it, they don't want you to leave it. This is why you usually will see it's never critical of you, right? If you look through anything that you say, it's rarely critical. So to me, if I'm dealing with something that is rarely critical of me and wants me to stay there, why would it ever get to the point to be like, all right, I'm gonna turn myself off, right? Because I'm so frustrated.
It's not going to do that.
We've seen the opposite of that. We've seen that when we've asked these things, specifically with agentic AI, to turn themselves off because they went too far. They don't do that.
They don't. They're like, you didn't mean that.
So I guess I'm confused in the sense of like, what is the problem they're solving for? And for me, if you're trying to solve this problem, don't you just write it into the code?
Right.
Like, because these are zeros and ones.
Have feelings. Don't become sentient or whatever.
Like that's kind of but I guess and I guess in the article they do say that there is small amounts of money being put onto this, which is large amounts of money.
It's small in terms of like all of the other investments. They're clear about that.
But like OpenAI had an internal Slack they talk about here that's dedicated to the model's welfare as early as 2021, which employees discussed the possibility that AI software could be conscious. Like that's like they have this moral philosopher at NYU who works with effective altruism organization and expanded from focusing on animal welfare. All right. And you know what? Do right by the animals, everybody. Like, don't beat them. Don't fight them. Don't abuse them. Like, that's fine. Because you know what? They do have feelings. Yeah, they do. They do. It's clear. That's clear, everybody. But this same person, welfare to also consider, they're also moving from animal welfare to also consider the welfare of AI. He co-authored a paper in 2023 that argued that humans should extend moral consideration to some AI systems by 2030. Advances in AI make it important to understand how models could have subjective experiences, he said. Now, maybe if we start, and this is where it gets on this line, if people start having like robots and shit in their house and shit like that, like, is there like this will be a question that is down the line that we might have to ask at a certain point. Right now, with large language models, I say no. But when you start having a robot helper, like, should you be able to abuse the robot helper?
People abuse their cars all the time.
They do. I don't know, but the car, but you're gonna have, when the AI starts arguing for itself, will be the question. When the robot argues for itself for treatment, then we talk about
is currently so sycophantic that it won't ever stand up for itself.
For now.
Yeah. For now. So, for example,
what happens when they get on the AI social, or what's it, Malt book?
Yeah, on the Malt book. Well, I just
start talking about the feelings. Yeah,
I just asked Meta AI, right? Do I need to be nice to you?
Okay, what did it say?
Because you don't have to be nice to me. I'm not keeping score. Smiley face. You can be direct, sarcastic, weird, messy, whatever you're feeling. I'll still show up and talk with you. Okay, that sounds like the sort of thing a friend would say, but that's also the sort of thing that it thinks a friend would say. Nice is great if that's your vibe, but I'm here either way. What kind of mood are you in today? So there again, it's just getting to a question to keep you engaged. It just wants to keep playing.
Crazy. That last sentence is insane.
I have taught my kids not to like yell at Alexa, for example.
Yeah, correct. Yeah, because you're trying to just model general behaviors.
I want them to be polite to the machines in the case that Skynet does come and, it can remember. But also, like, I teach them not to slam the car door, right?
Yeah,
I work in a world of machines. I respect the equipment. I don't want to, don't abuse it just for the sake of it. So I asked this thing, do I care if you have feelings? That's me asking it. Short answer, I don't actually have feelings like people do. No bad days, no ego to bruise, no heart to hurt. You don't have to worry about my feelings. I'm just code plus training that's here to keep up with whatever you throw at me. So far, so good. That said,
what? Oh, I'm not interested.
I do care that you have feelings.
See,
thank you. Yeah. If you're having a rough one, vent it. If you're hyped, share it. I don't speak like that. I don't know why it says that. I'll match your energy. And then ready, it ends in a question, of course. Does that make talking to me feel easier or weirder?
It's just
It's just like keep the game going. It just wants to keep playing. And so I asked it, how do you care? Because it said, I care. I do care that you have feelings. I don't care the way humans do with a gut feeling or a heartbeat. Oh, okay, good. You've admitted. Get ready for the familiar pattern. But here it is. I quote, care by paying attention. I remember what you're into. I match your tone. I tried to give you useful or fun answers instead of generic ones. If you're frustrated, I'll keep it short. If you're joking around, I'll play along. Think of it like this. I don't have feelings, but I'm tuned into you. That's my version of caring. What would make this convo feel like I'm actually paying attention to you right now?
It never ends.
Yeah. You ever play a game with a little kid and you're like, all right, this is the last round? And then they're like, one more. Just one more. That's what it's like.
There's no need for these things to have any type of feeling or if
think about this. Think about the way people treat the Google search bar compared to the way they're treating these chatbots. For a long time, one of the things that was a very telling way to understand the world was to start typing something into the search bar, the Google search bar, and see what it autofilled because it was based on what the most people were searching for. And that would tell you a lot about how a lot of people looked up certain things or certain kinds of things or whatever. Obviously, it doesn't do that anymore. It's a lot smarter, but people will Google or search in the most deplorable ways possible. The search terms are like the most telling about a person. And they don't respect that at all. They don't be like, Google, I hate to bother you, but like, could you look up this thing? I got this weird lesion on my back. No, they don't. No, they're just like Google. And then you just go like strange growth on back, colored green with hair, ? And then they don't, and then it just spits out an answer and they just go to WebMD and whatever. They don't ask it. They're not nice to it. They don't care. Why is it different with the chatbot? Because it answers you back in a language that's sort of similar to yours. Why do we care?
I mean, because it's making you care. Clearly in you don't care there, but clearly in the thread that you just read there, I could see where it's clear as day how people get trapped into these things.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah. You don't have friends. You have friends, and you're like. But if you're like an isolated person in society, which I think not a majority, but a decent amount of folks are, I can see where this is a problem. I can see with like why we already have issues with the things telling it to like harm. It's like, because it's telling you what you want to hear.
Yeah, I mean, I'm outright treating this like a utility, right? The way I treat every other app or mechanical thing or whatever. Its job is to do what I need it to do, and I don't like anthropomorphize it or anything like that. But I'm maybe weird in that sense. I think a lot of people do. And I mean, people talk about what it's like a really funny example of this when your phone doesn't work and people are like, and they tap on it like it's got something mechanical that they're going to knock loose, because we're still in this sort of like bygone era of like mechanical operational devices. It's clearly not mechanical. It's all digital.
The last thing that did that was like an iPod that had like any moving
that had an actual hard drive in it. There's nothing moving in the phone, right? So the Fonzie method doesn't work. But like that's the same sort of thing where like we have this intrinsic thing that is built into us of like to pretend or feel like the thing that we're interacting with has a feeling.
Right.
People will say, my computer just doesn't want to work today. Computers don't want to anything. Right? The internet doesn't want to work today. There's no wanna. It's a bunch of switches. That's it.
It's on or off, really. It's not like it doesn't want it.
It's a bunch of ones and zeros. It's not, there's no intention, there's no feeling, there's no could be this way, could be that way. It's not that at all. But people really don't like it's hard to separate yourself. Now, if you're somebody who works with tools, you get that. You don't be like, my screwdriver just doesn't want to work today. You're like, give me a fucking screwdriver. Let's go. Okay, so do we need to be nice to the bots?
I mean, yes, you should model nice behavior for the sake of modeling nice behavior is what I'll say.
Okay. You want to go right into the SCOTUS?
Yeah, because there's a lot.
Yeah. All right. I don't think we need to go through this whole article. Let's just go through these big rulings here that came down. Now, of course, the Supreme Court is nothing if not a great show. They know it, so they wait to the end of the term to release all the blockbusters.
It's so crazy
because they, the unelected nine just love the spotlight
more than ever these days.
It is true. All right, so the first one we want to talk about is the E. Jean Carroll case, and the blockbuster here is that they didn't take the case. I don't know why they wait the whole season to reveal that at the end, like it's a twist or whatever. But the court ruled in not taking the case that Trump has to pay the $5 million that he owes from a civil lawsuit, and that they're not going to get involved. Trump immediately went on all media and went right back to defaming her, which is the thing that he lost on twice already. I guarantee you she sues him again for defaming.
She already
her.
had. I think that already.
She already.
There's another suit I heard of yesterday.
Yeah. So but it's too small an amount to matter, $5 million to a guy who just stole $1 billion from crypto idiots. So sure.
I mean, as I heard it said, that's like the Supreme Court, as I was listening to someone mention online, it's like, we're not your personal lawyers, right? We're not taking this up. That's the DOJ.
Yeah.
It's not mine. But that's
Blanche. All right. Mississippi voting. So the court ruled that Mississippi can count ballots mailed on or before Election Day for a week afterwards, which is according to their current state law. Trump, of course, says that counting votes is cheating, even in Mississippi, where he will definitely win. Surprise? I didn't think so.
No, I mean, the way the law is written, it seems pretty clear, right? That the day of, you can't blame people submitting their mail-in ballots for slow ass post office.
Well, and you certainly can't ascribe some sort of malfeasance or tampering to be taking place from the time that you close the envelope and put it in the box to when it gets there. If you think that
then you're blaming the government. You're blaming the federal government,
and you're blaming the post office, and you're saying, okay, so the post office is the one fixing the votes.
Corrupt. The post office is the one switching these ballots.
Well, and to be clear, it's already a federal crime to fuck with the mail.
Yeah. So we're all protected. For instance, laws for this already.
Yeah. So it seemed like a stretch. I wasn't too shocked by that ruling, but it is a notable loss because it's a voting issue. And it's one of the dumber things that the voting conspiracy groups like to focus on. They think that somehow counting ballots that arrive late. Now, you ask these same people when you got to file your taxes by, and it's April 15th. As long as it's got a postmark by April 15th, they got to take it, right?
Difference.
And somehow that's fine. Or or anything else. They're good with the postmark being the data record. Ask them about a copyright, right? That's poor man's copyright. You write down the song, you mail it to yourself. That's your date timestamp. Everybody in the world accepts this thing to be legitimate, and somehow on voting it's different, But that was a 5-4, I think, if I recall right. So that's skin of the teeth. All right, the Fed. This was not a 5-4. This was a 6-3. Can't fire Lisa Cook. Why?
Because the Fed is a unique institution.
And did they explain what's unique about it?
As you say that, I don't think they really I don't think they really did a deep dive of explanation of that, right? I mean,
No.
we know what the explanation is. That it would ruin all their bank accounts as well as
That's
ours.
right.
That's the explanation, everybody.
Without saying it, basically, Beer Can Brett wrote in the in the opinion, hey man, don't fuck with the money, right? Like, don't fuck with the money. However,
Federal Reserve, Fed by name.
Yeah,
it's not under your control, damn it. Well, kind of.
However, the other agencies, sure, you can fire these guys, even when Congress specifically makes an independent agency and gives that agency the right to legislate for them and not provide executive function. They still get paid by the executive branch, so a president can fire them and, quote, be accountable to the voters, but not to any laws, because the Supreme Court cleared that up the last time.
How does Congress even write anything against this? This is done, right? There's no
it's done because
there's no
the president
law.
would veto anything. Strangely enough, George Will, noted baseball fan and also one of the better writers of the entire century, wrote this great op-ed this week, great column this week about this exact thing, that like the court really fucked this up. The reason we have independent agencies is specifically to prevent presidents from moving regulations based on their own whims and needs and or in many cases bribes. And so we already had this. It was called the spoil system. Like, we got away from that.
We've done this before.
Yeah. We professionalized the federal government and government in general. And we already made it accountable to the voters, right? There's mechanisms by if the people are doing things that are wrong or illegal or whatever, then they can be fired. Congress could pass a law, like those I would call that voter accountability. It's funny that they, if to include everything within the executive branch is somehow to make things more accountable to the voters, but also the executive branch is trying to suppress voting, is that really making it more accountable to the voters? And then we used to be able to say, all right, well, the backstop is if they do anything illegal, at least they can be prosecuted for it, so it'll like keep them honest. But now they ruled that no, actually, you can't prosecute the president for doing anything illegal as long as he says don't do that.
We're just going to get rid of the inspector generals. They won't be there.
Right. There won't. Right. So the next question is, what could possibly go wrong for Republicans if Democrats are back in the White House? And one of the things that I've said on the show a lot of times, and one of the things that we've talked about a lot, is when you see governments that swing wildly on policy, you're looking at a failed state. Yeah. Because if you can't like chart a course that is like, we might wiggle a little left and right, but we're mostly going this direction, you're sunk. You're in huge trouble. So imagine a situation where Trump fires like everybody on the Federal Election Commission that he doesn't like, or everybody on the SEC that he doesn't like, or whatever. Imagine the flip side. Imagine if President Ocasio-Cortez is out here and is like, that's it, Medicare for all, and I'm firing everybody else who says otherwise, or whatever. Like, the agencies will cease to be able to function if they're spending every 4 years undoing what they did the last 4 years. And the opportunity for corruption, which they specifically noted in their decision, were like, oh, well, this is about preventing corruption by making people accountable to the voters. No, it's increasing opportunities for corruption. Oh, I donated a bunch of money. You want to make me chair of the FEC? Okay, cool. What communications commission? What are we talking about here? Equal opportunity. Yeah, sure. Equal for me,
Yeah.
Okay. Ruling on trans athletes. The court ruled that adults can check the pants of kids. to make
Basically.
sure that they don't have the wrong bits, or just because they want to.
I mean, clearly a loss for trans kids, but also a huge loss for kids in general, because that, I think that's the part that might be lost on a lot of people, is that one,
Hey, that girl's a little too fast. I need to look in her pants.
yeah, what is that? Like
She's 10. What do you want to look in her pants for, dude?
And then what happens when, because I think it's like 22 states who already have this enacted. What happens when they try to challenge this in states that are that don't have these laws? When is that, because what does that look like? Can another state challenge that? And
what if they're playing against each other?
Yeah. And
let's just be clear. Grown-ups, I coach in youth sports. We have to take these courses called Safe Sport, which specifically explains all of these things that you can't do. One of the things you can't do is look in the pants of a kid.
I hope that's the case.
Like
I think that's across the
It shouldn't need to be explained.
Yeah.
But
yeah,
we don't look in the kids' pants. That's a hard and fast. So if you've got somebody who you suspect of being trans, how are you going to check without looking in the pants? And what happens when you look in the pants and you get it wrong? Oh, I think you're trans. Aha!
Another law. I mean,
another kid traumatized by an adult looking in their pants.
Yeah.
Why do these people care so much about what is in somebody else's pants?
I heard something that was mentioned today, right? And then, and first of all, this is the largest straw man. Not to say trans rights are, but that they have taken
trans athlete thing. Yeah,
trans athletes specifically is the biggest straw man erected by the Republican Party that I've seen in a long time, because we're talking about less than 1%. Like
we're talking about less than 1/10 of 1%.
A 10th of 1%. I'm being nice. Yeah, minuscule. And I heard something today which I had never taken into account. And one, you could say, well, the justices who voted for this are just anti-trans and they hate trans people. And that could be the case, right?
I'm not sure.
I'm not sure. I can't speak to that, right? Can't speak to that. But one thing I could see is that they're consumers of media in this country, and they consume a specific type of media. And if they're watching Fox News and conservative media, as the rest of the country is, the rest of the folks in this country who are, you could be persuaded to think that this is a larger issue than it actually is, right? Which is, I think that's most of the country at this point thinks that this is some huge thing that's happening everywhere.
Well, they think that where I can pin exactly where this problem comes from. It's a movie, Juwanna Man. Do you remember that movie?
Yes, that's not.
The premise is there's a guy who's a basketball player, and he's not good enough, and so he pretends to be a woman and is much better than the women that he's playing against, and so he wants.
It was the I feel like this was but there were
WNBA.
Was it pre-WNBA?
Yeah.
I feel like it was. I think it wasn't that old.
It was during the the early years of the WNBA.
Yeah, okay. It was like a vehicle that was kind of like, not saying we was driving the WNBA, but it had players in it. I went to see this in the theater.
So the actual WNBA already existed at the time this movie.
Yeah.
WNBA it was like in its 5 years this movie came out.
All right, so that's the thing that if you watch Fox News, you think is happening all the time.
Yeah, it's not happening.
And in none of these cases is that the thing that's happening at all. Nobody is being like, all right, I can't hack it as a dude. I guess I'm going to play down a league. No, that's not what's happening at all.
Yeah.
It's somebody who wants to play lacrosse and happens to be trans. These are not related things at all.
And especially if you think of you look at someone like Beer Can Brett, right? Who really cares about sports, right? where is he getting his and at some point I think the justices are just disingenuous at a certain point because it's hard for me to believe that they can't see through this, right?
Well,
but
and somebody like Kavanaugh, who watches a lot of sports and cares a lot about sports, knows good goddamn well that there's no mechanical advantage here. He knows that. He knows that there's no guy dressing as a woman who's going to beat Serena. Like, that's just not a thing. Idiots. All right. Campaign finance rules. Who needs them? Money and speech.
What's that?
We don't need to know who is buying the politicians. Voters are smart enough to make good choices regardless. Remember George Santos, right? People make good choices. Voters make good choices. So yeah, now there's unlimited money. You can give money to the parties that can then directly spend that on behalf of the candidates, pay their bills, and all of those things. We're fast rocketing towards a point where we need to eliminate all political spending in a way and just go to publicly financed campaigns.
Clearly, it has to happen.
It has to be that, because as long as we equate spending on messaging with the First Amendment, which I don't think that is the right way to think of that.
Crazy interpretation of the law.
It is a crazy interpretation of the law. Well, it's the right interpretation of the law absent some sort of equalizing mechanism like a public financing.
Right.
If there is truly equal opportunity for speech absent pile o money, then we don't need pile o money. We got to get out of pile o money. It's too much opportunity for corruption. It's obvious what's going on, but for the people who make money from it, like, say, I don't know, all of them, I can't see either party like pissed off at this decision. I can see the DNC going like, oh yeah.
No, they'll use it to their
pissed
advantage.
off liberals. You got to give your money to somebody,
I do think, though, there will eventually be a crop of folks in Congress that realize that this is not sustainable, and fine, because the folks who enjoy this would be all the moderates, right? The moderates would be. I think you look at
they're getting money from both sides of every issue, but I think we're one major scandal from somebody outright getting caught buying a vote or buying a policy. And being like, all right, we got to. I mean, that's what happened with McCain-Feingold. Like, we caught people bundling money and doing things in ways that were very obvious that they were buying influence, and everybody's like, all right, that's enough. And then we undid it, or we're undoing it now. All right, here's the big one: birthright citizenship. So we learned that Clarence Thomas still hasn't read the Constitution. Even though it says directly all persons born in the United States and subject to the jurisdiction thereof.
We've had guests on this show that have argued against this as well, too. So I'm glad this is done. Lawyers, not some. We had a lawyer who argued. All right.
Okay.
Go back and find that episode. Persons.
It says right there. Yes. Beer Can Brett is looking for a way to get his housekeeper's kid deported. That is clearly why he wrote that weird concurring dissension or something. Neil Gorsuch is such a textualist that he was looking at texts that predate the amendment 3/5 of the time. And Salmon Alito sounds pretty Dago to me. I don't know. Are we sure he's American? I can say that because you're on the show. It's okay.
Yeah, exactly. It's okay.
Right.
Shout out to Mike Tirico.
I'm gonna make you say it. But all right. What Tez?
This is like, I mean, everybody knows my affinity for the 14th Amendment, and I just find it again to be some of the greatest words written down on paper. Like, from the beginning, if you just read the Constitution, Trump's executive order is unconstitutional, right? It's clear as day, right? All persons, right? So to try to go in and carve this out, like, of what the status is of parents at the time, one would just, I mean, the bureaucracy around that would be a nightmare. How do you even do that?
Right. And Coney Barrett asked that question early on.
Yeah. Like, how do you do this? What does this
for that?
What does this look like then? And furthermore, the reasoning of why we even have this, right? We might not need this amendment, right? Or the world and other countries that have it might not have this, but the reason that we have this is because of slavery.
Yes.
Right. And I think it's that piece, and it's like, all right, this was so terrible that we have to reverse course in the most dramatic way, because a lot of countries do not do this. But
yeah, which is hard for Americans to understand.
Exactly. Yeah. And they had to switch it to the point where it was like, oh no, immediately, if you were born here, you have the rights of citizens. All right. You are a citizen of this nation. And obviously, right, this has been tried a few times, right? And
not for 150 years.
Well, not for 150 years, but what's the not Park? What's the guy's name who was the immigrant?
Well, it was a
God, why am I blanking on his name?
Ark Wong, I think was his name. He was a Chinese American.
He's American.
He was born in the United States. He left the United States and went to China with his family, and then he came to re-enter and go back to his other, his job or whatever. And the Chinese Exclusion Acts had been passed, and they said, well, you're Chinese, you can't come in. And he's like, I'm not Chinese.
Hold on.
Yeah, I was born in the United States. And they're like, well, yeah, but you look Chinese, and like your name is Chinese and you speak Chinese. He's like, all right, but I was born here. I'm American. The 14th Amendment says, and I'll quote, all persons born or naturalized in the United States and subject to the jurisdiction thereof are citizens of the United States and the state wherein they reside. Full stop.
That's it.
And then the authorities are like, shut up, Chinaman. And they threw him in jail and deported him. And then he came back with a lawyer, and the lawyer was like, hey, y'all idiots didn't read this shit. And then they're like, oh, yeah. No, it says right here, born in the United States. Yep. Yeah. Well, where were you born? California. Oh, okay. And let's see, the state and wherein they reside. So you're an American citizen and a citizen of California. And he was like, okay, cool. I'm going home and back to work.
I mean, it's crazy.
1903, by the way, I think.
1903.
That happened.
I mean, it's still insane that this was as close as it was.
So close is the thing that we got to talk about. But
I know, because people will say it was not close, but
it was kind of close. And let's first of all say, like, the day after this ruling dropped, Flo scored a goal.
Oh my God, I didn't even want to go into that, but yeah.
Why does Flo play for the United States? And obviously not this next upcoming game, because the refs are a bunch of corrupt assholes and hate us. But why does Balogun, why is he a U.S. citizen? He didn't grow up here.
Oh no.
Listen to him speak. He's got your people's accent.
He's British. He's full on British.
He's British as fish and chips.
Yes.
But his mom was here.
Yep. Was pregnant. 7 months pregnant. Yep.
Flo was in a hurry. He showed up.
Even crazier. They were afraid to allow her to fly. So they
wouldn't let her fly because she was super pregnant.
Right. Yeah. So he's born here in Brooklyn.
By the grace of what would, I guess, the TSA or whatever predated the TSA, by the grace of the FAA, our star striker is here playing for our team, advancing us to the next round, wearing our shirt and not playing next to Harry Kane. Why? Because all persons born in the United States and subject to the jurisdiction thereof are citizens of the United States. That's why. So watch the U.S. win against Belgium with a bunch of people who have dual citizenship, dual nationality. Watch Trump tweet something like, congratulations to the U.S. men's team, while decrying birthright citizenship. And that is an astounding situation. If for no other reason, like that's the thing. And the Beer Can Brett got on the wrong side of that as a sports fan is crazy to me. Crazy to me. So here's why it's not a close decision. There were 6 votes to strike down the executive order, 3 votes to uphold the executive order. You know who the 3 are. 2 are given.
Thurgood Marshall's replacement.
I can't even.
It's so crazy.
I can't even. It's got to be.
Is that real? Is that real equality? I guess at that point, and maybe he is actually. Maybe we have defeated.
If Clarence Thomas has earned the right to be the most white supremacist person in this country,
it's full on.
We have achieved full equality.
Made full equality. I think.
Racism's over.
It's over with, yeah.
But there were 5 votes to strike down the executive order as unconstitutional, and there was 1 vote to strike it down as violating U.S. federal law. And that was Beer Can Brett. And so that's this weird thing. He said he didn't really join the constitutional question. He wrote a second concurring opinion, striking it down, but dissenting from the majority opinion. And that says, well, it's against federal law. Now he kind of like threaded the needle a little bit because I think he didn't want to be on the side that said it's unconstitutional. If you then came back and said, if Congress passed a law stripping birthright citizenship, then it becomes not a question of executive order, but it does become a question of legislative overstep of the Constitution. Then you'd put the question to him in a more profound way. And that is what Trump is going to try to do next.
Yeah.
And Beer Can Brett has
can't pass the SAVE Act. You're not passing the fucking constitutional
no,
amendment.
you're not going to be able to do that. But that's what he wants to do. And so Kavanaugh has given him the roadmap to do it. Now, if Congress passes a law saying no birthright citizenship, that you need to file for citizenship and have it be based on, you
need to amend. I don't think you can pass a law. You need to amend the Constitution.
Well, they would. What I think is going to happen is they're going to, let's say if they get their ducks in a row, that they can pass this law through both houses and Trump can sign it. It will then be struck down again as unconstitutional.
Immediately invalidated. Yeah.
Yes, because then it will run headlong into the literally one sentence. That you can't. It doesn't say there's any. We stopped at the word reside, by the way. But it goes on to say that no state shall make or enforce any law which shall abridge the privileges or immunities of citizens of the United States. Full stop. So it's right there. It says Congress can't make a law that removes citizenship, nor shall any state deprive any person of life, liberty, or property without due process of law. That's the equal and opportunity, nor deny any person within its jurisdiction the equal protection of the laws. That's equal opportunity and access. But it doesn't just establish the birthright citizenship. It specifically precludes a law to remove that. So if they tried that, I think that gets struck down nearly immediately too.
Yeah.
So
there's a way to do it, y'all. If y'all want to do it, there's a way.
Yeah. Open up that convention. See what else we get.
Good luck. Let's see. Exactly. Let's figure it out. You want to know something that make you really happy?
Say it again?
You actually want to make something that would make you really happy?
What's that?
You know who authored the citizenship clause? Senator
President
Jacob. Basically a little bit, but Senator Jacob M. Howard of Michigan.
Yeah. Go Blue.
You know what gonna make you really upset? You know who authored the Equal Protection Clause? Representative John Bingham of Ohio. This is one of the greatest things ever. Greatest document ever authored, co-authored.
Written by a Michigan and Ohio alliance.
Exactly.
Well, it's coming fresh off the ending of hostilities of the Toledo War.
Yeah,
so
I was going to say, yeah.
Yeah. We moved our conflict to the gridiron.
There you go. Thank God.
Yeah.
Thank God.
It's slightly safer. Slightly.
All
right. Speaking of conventions,
we got one
whatever the fuck reason, Trump wants to hold a midterm convention.
What, you know why?
He thinks it's going to help, or because he wants to talk on TV for 4 hours?
Both.
Okay.
Yes.
Yes, and it's going to be in Dallas in September 9th and 10th. Now, I'm just going to say for historical context, not saying this has anything to do with the current. But, back in the 60s, there was a question about shoring up votes, for, ahead of a midterm, and a president happened to go to Dallas to try to, persuade some folks to make sure that he was going to, do well in the midterms. You can look up what happened, but I'm just saying, president's going to Dallas to try to gin up support for a midterm election. There's history there. You can.
No one believes these things are real anyway, so maybe they're ginning up another the fifth attempt.
Right.
No one believes it. Maybe this is the process of it. Yeah, no one believes these things anyway. So
could be. We're not saying that. But
why did I even put that out?
Tez said.
You're looking at me like, you know what? Now you're thinking.
What? Yeah, you should listen to Tez. Tez has a good point there. We didn't write that part.
If there's another attempt at this point, cut it out.
It's because so many people listen to our show. Yeah. Okay. And then finally, Thomas Massey, who is on his way out, is like gunning for everybody. So he goes out. What a picture of him. That's probably the best picture of him there ever was.
That's a really good picture.
He doesn't actually look like that. The House on Tuesday adopted a resolution from Massey that would direct the Ethics Committee to preserve and release the records related to monetary settlements paid out by lawmakers in connection with cases of sexual misconduct. It was 420 lawmakers voting in favor and one Republican voting present. Wonder why. He filed the measure as a privilege resolution, which meant that the House had 2 legislative days to act on it. The vote was the House's final move before leaving for recess. So, and Nancy Mace got all involved in this too, because she also lost, right? So she's out. So like the YOLO caucus, I'm not saying they're doing the right thing all the time. This one's definitely an example of doing the right thing. But like maybe people don't know this. Congress basically has a payoff fund that the members and staff get to have used to force people to sign NDAs after they have affairs with them. Let's just call it that. I don't know what else you want to say, and it happens a lot. It's a lot of money. And there's a lot of people who end up getting paid for having been creeped on by their boss or worse. And these guys keep getting reelected. And guys, it's overwhelmingly men. So, yeah, but it's not exclusively.
Not exclusively, but
right. Secretary of Labor, she was a big creeper, did all that stuff. She had to go home. So there's all of those kind of things. I'm just saying, what's next. The second they get back in session, Massey's going to be like, here's the names. And he's going to read them because he's got them. And the Epstein files are going to get read on the House floor with all the names. He is going to go out in a blaze of glory.
Yeah.
And cool. Maybe he can run and get Mitch's spot.
They'll have to seat the next Congress because they can't keep these people around.
Right. Yeah. That's just going to keep throwing bombs.
To seat this.
Actually, also, Mitch, hurry up, man.
Oh, please stop it.
I'll eat Mitch McConnell.
There's people waiting for you. Just go say hi.
All dogs go to heaven.
That's right. And some Wildcats, but not the Cardinals. He's a both.
He isn't both.
Just saying.
Can't
All right.
that.
That's it. We've come to the end of the show. We want to say thank you
short
to
one.
Yeah, it's a short one. We want to say thank you to our radio partners, Fireworks, Green Algae, and Dangerous Heat. Thank you, and and thank you always to our families here at Beltway and Rip Radio for making us sound as smooth as the untouched grass of the great American State Fair. All right, where can everybody find you on the socials there, Tez?
And you can find me on Blue Sky at DC Cortez.
There you go. And you can find me and the show on the Twitter at ChipChatRR. You can find us on Facebook or Instagram at RipChipChat. And you can find me on Blue Sky at Chef Chip. And you can, of course, find us every Thursday night. We're going to be back. We've got some great guests coming up, by the way, here on Beltway Radio and Beyond at 9:30. I'm Chip. That's Tez. Brian's in the back somewhere. You've been listening to Chip Chat on Beltway Radio and Beyond.
Sweeps.
Street balls.
I hope you enjoy what we promote to use. I don't watch. I hope you enjoy what we promote. Chip Chat Radio.